Mondays here. Today is, oops, my calendar here. A bit disorganized this morning, getting things going. And I'm gonna also stream this one on Facebook. Yes, let's get this going. I have a very interesting subject I want to chat today. Just get myself organized here. Getting this on Facebook. Genius. Good morning. Good morning. So if you join me, please tell in the comments, how are you doing today? What are the expectations for the week? And let's get started. Just putting this one to share also on Facebook, and I'm going to be live on Facebook, and let's do this, get things going, started, organized, and get the week started in a very high note. So, guys, know me, my name is Sandro Ferreira, as known as Sandra Canada, and I'm here to start this week to get in a big bang. So the idea is to empower the week with some suggestions, some ideas, so you can get this one going. So good morning, everyone. For you that are coming, just joining me here, either on Facebook or on Zoom. It's always a great opportunity, a great pleasure to connect with you guys. So let's get this going. All right. So this past week, I came across a book, and this book I found interesting. And the reason I decided to read this book is because friend, you call this individual a friend, but someone I know came to me and said, you are lazy. I said, what? What do you mean? Yeah, I think you're lazy. And the person meant it. Now, just to give a little bit of background, this is someone that has a lot of people around that are hard workers, but a lot of the work that they do is like manual labor, and I am not very good at it. Like I'm not very manual. I never learned how to build things. Anyways, it's not my expertise. However, I do spend a lot of time uh, trying to create things, creating process, ideas, very creative. And a lot of times my work involves deep thinking, which at the end of the day, usually I am exhausted because of the mental power that I have to put into things to get things going. So, anyways, and then I was just chatting with somebody else, and that conversation came up. It's like, I have a perfect book for you. And this book is called The Lazy Genius Way. And I was intrigued because another good friend came to me and said, I'm a friend, I'm just going to say, you are the type of guy, Sandro, that is always looking for a way to do things the easiest way as possible. Like, you are absolutely right. Why should I not do that? No, because it looks like you're looking for shortcuts. Like, well, it's all about perspective, not about optics. But let's assume that that's true, which actually it is. Like, yes, I want to find better and most efficient ways to do certain things. So then, especially things that I don't like doing it, therefore, with that approach, I will spend the remaining time doing things that I'm actually passionate and that I actually like doing it. That's simple. So for me, this is a simple math. Now, and anyways, I decided to get then into this book, and I found this book so valuable and so interesting that I decided to share with you guys today. So let's dive in. No more delongs. Today we're talking about the book, The Lazy Genius Ways. And as every day, or every time I read the book that gives me some aha moments and give me some ideas, I make some notes, and I'm going to share this with you. Now, if you can, please tell me in the comments, how are you doing today? What is your perspective about finding easy way to do things? And let's get this interactive if you can. Now, everything matters, but everything matters to whom? We know that it's impossible. It is impossible to be perfect at everything. It's like just not doable. We can't. Now, we still try. to do everything. And we still try in our minds to do these things perfectly. And when you're striving for perfection, then we put our brain almost like if you're in a hamster wheels. We can't take a breather because something always demands our full attention. And we inevitably we will fail at something. We want to give up entirely out of frustration and fatigue. This ever happened to you? So you try to do everything, and very often, especially my female friends, say, "Wow, we have to do everything because we are naturally multitaskers." And who am I to argue? Especially myself, who uh, learned that I am a tunnel vision. And actually, this is a phrase that is used by some individuals to describe me. You are a tunnel vision. Everything been falling right beside of you and you don't see it. You have to be more intentional. But just, I understand that. And yet, I try to do multiple things at once. And this is literally how I feel at times. I'm trying to do these things and I feel the frustration because I cannot get things done. And then I'm tired and the fatigue comes and I'm frustrated. And when we care about something, we will try to do that thing that we care well. But then when we try to care about everything, guess what? We're not going to do anything. And not doing anything, we then don't do anything well. So some of you might be thinking that you got to change the schedule, to keep trying to get things together and you don't want to let it go. But the reality is, I believe, and this is what the book is teaching, that we should change our mindset from great at everything to great at what matters to you the most. There's one expression that sometimes when people say, "Oh my goodness, Sandra, you do so many different things. You're like the jack of all trades." And before, I was used to be very proud of that. It's like, yes, I feel like I'm a jack of all trades and a generalist, especially when I was in law school and I was going through that process and learning different type of um, laws, and not different type of laws, but different disciplines, right? You have tax law, family law, civil law, criminal law, tax laws. There's so like it's a large umbrella. And a lot of great professionals that I know, there was like good a little bit of everything. It's like, oh, in this season you're in life, you actually gotta be good at a bunch of little things, which is fine. Like I know individuals that they thrive extremely well doing that. But I mean, like, you should never be content until you identify your values. But to do that, we really need to determine what is important to you, not to the influencers, not to the neighbors, not to the friends. And we may say otherwise, but very often we get ourselves in that position where we say we don't care about other people's opinions, but the reality is, deep down inside, we do. And we try to do certain things to please certain group of people that don't really care. I mean, they say they care, but they're going with their lives. And a lot of times you want to put certain things in a certain way out there, and it's just giving fuel to people to gossip. Like I'm at a point of my life, and I'm getting older and going through this new season. It's a new discovery. It's almost weird to say, but I'll be 50 in a couple of years. I'm turning 48 this year, so the half decade is coming, and it's coming faster, like a bullet train. And yet, the older I get, the less I care about other people think. So then I'm like, I'm gonna really focus to be great at the things that really matters to me. And I will not be content until I get to that place, right? And the book, the author, he talks about 13 different steps that can help us to think about it. And why not find the lazy genius way of doing things? Number one, he talks about striving to things that will help you to simplify your life to get things done, right? So let's say this: you got to simplify And then as you simplify, you thrive. And principle number one is stick to one option. If you approach every decision with perfectionism, you will not have the energy left for what is essential. All these small, everyday things will swallow your attention. Like, think about this. If you want to make life easier, why not deciding one thing? And as you go through this, you choose. I'm going to use an example. Like very often now, I'm wearing black shirts, and I got a bunch of these black shirts. And what brought me to my attention, and I'm literally trying to be in a place where I have to make big decisions, but the non-essentials, from my perspective, I don't have to think about. So having a black shirt is so easy because I even have a friend like, you don't change shirts? Yeah, I do change shirts. I just have a bunch of black shirts because it's one less thing for me to think about and then get on the autopilot. And all these small everyday things that swallows our attention, I'm literally trying to get them out of the way and start making my life easier. Excuse me. Simplifying and applying the rule of no critical aspects of life because I want to save my brain power and leave that space for the things that I truly value. Like imagine you're coming home from work and if you have a pet or if you have kids and you have activities to do and you have to do meal prep and you have to do some cleaning, organizing the next day. And that gets stressful because the time is going by. For me, this is a morning routine that gets very stressful. Like, oh my goodness, I'm stressed in the morning. Ah, I'm going to do this and why not? And I got to. Now, one suggestion is like, why not then the night before going to bed, and I actually tried to do that last night, making a list of all the things I have to do today that are important and I already have set up. So I've been up since 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. I already took a bunch of things out of the way. And now I know sort of what my day might look like. Therefore, those non-essential things, they're already programmed to be done either by somebody else or if I have to do it like in an autopilot, right? Now, number two, why not start with no pressure? After you decide and define what is really important to you, you then could apply the go big or go home mindset to it. Another example, and I find myself there. How many of you guys do New Year's resolution? And did you know there's a study done by the University of Scranton that only about 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's resolution list? Like 8%, that's like a very small list, right? But if you're starting with no pressure, what you need to do is to focus on being active and consistent. Weight loss. I got into that journey of losing a lot of weight. And for me, I came up with a go big or go home mentality. And I decided that I was going to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. That was my goal. Like 60 pounds in 6 months in a healthy way, that's not doable. It's like, wow, it is. I've been reading and watching some individuals that got into that journey. I'm going to do it. And I literally, now that I lost, and again, it wasn't easy, but I did. So now, other than be fixating on the weight loss, as I achieved the goal that I had, with some, of course, I had to do some things that are like a little bit more drastic. But once I achieved that, now my focus is to stay active and consistent to my water intake, to my exercise, to my intermittent fasting, and to my calorie count. Now, I even downloaded an app that helped me to control exactly what I was consuming. And now that I got to the weight that I control, now I'm going to the next stage. The consistency is what will help us. And shifting the perspective will allow you to start with ridiculously small things. And even with the things that matter, why not start with a daily walk? Now, I have a challenge for you. If you are saying to yourself, I'm going to go back exercising, okay? The challenge I have for you is this. Try to program your mind to have your gym or workout outfit nearby. So when you wake up in the morning, so let's say wake up in the morning, like I wake up at 5 and I start my routine with my kids around 6. And if I want to be active, okay, I'm gonna put the workout clothes. So then as I am going through getting the kids ready for school, why not? At least I'm said that that's so small and so ridiculous, but Sandro, why I'm gonna just put the workout clothing or having the running shoes nearby? Like why? Because you're starting with something ridiculous and do this tomorrow, for example. Or if you can, still do it today. And that's it. I'm gonna get this every day. Gonna get ready to work out, even if you don't. And then you do 1, 2, 3 days, and say, you know what? I'm gonna count how many times I come up or down the stairs. Start there. Really, really, really small. Go for a small walk. Count the steps you're doing. And while this is not really impressive, it is realistic and you can stick to it. And then you do the habit stacking. That's another great book that I came across that talks about habit stacking that I like to recommend for you guys, because doing that, you will slowly gain momentum, which is more rewarding than starting with a bang. And then you ended up with exhaustion. Now, funny thing I say this, because right, I came up with this goal of going back to exercise and being serious about. My brother challenged me to go back exercising, and then I met a great friend of mine, Galit, who is here in this call this morning, and he was talking about that. Yes, exercise, why not? And then they asked me, so what is the one thing that you can do consistently? I said, well, I like biking. It's not as hard on my knees, so I'm going to do biking. And a little story there. My goal on the first day was to do 5 kilometers. So I was going to bike for 2.5 kilometers one way and then bike back. That would be the whole 5 kilometers. However, when I got to the 2.5 kilometers, I was listening to a book and I just got myself distracted with the book. And when I looked to my watch, it's like, oh, I already did 3.7 kilometers. Well, why not just then do 5 kilometers? So then, like I was going to do 5, why not do 10? Because now I did 3.5, 3.7, just go up to 5 and then bike back, that's 10. When I got to the 5, it was almost like an elevation going down, and I got the momentum going on the bike. Like, I'm going to do 10. And then I did 10, going one way and then 10 coming the way back. Now, this is interesting because that was the goal the first day. It's like, I'm going to do 20. And then when I met my friend, Galit, she was saying, but why are you starting with 20? Like, that's not sustainable because you shouldn't do that. It's too hard. Like, you should start small. That's what everybody recommends. It's like, you're right, but you know what? I'm doing 20 because 20 is small. I want to do 100. I was just talking out of my neck, right? I was like, it's not that I was planning to do 100, but I felt the challenge and I felt like she was confronted me. And thank you very much for confronting me. If you want to be friends with somebody that will give you raw, you should be friends with Galit because she's going to give the piece of her mind. And I appreciate because it helps me to stay accountable, right? But then said, Sandro, this is not sustainable. Yes, it is sustainable. Okay, so I have another challenge for you. And want to see you do these 20 kilometers every day for 30 days. You know what? Challenge accepted. And then last week I did the whole week, and then I was with my kids this weekend. So on Saturday I had to take a little easier because my youngest, he's like 5, he has a small bike, he can't take. I still went out biking. Then yesterday was Father's Day and I had a phenomenal day with the boys, but today it's raining. I'm looking outside. It's like, man, it's raining. But I'm going to do the 20 kilometers even under rain because that's the commitment that I made to myself first. Now, this for me is really small because my goal is to get to the point where I can do 100 kilometers, maybe in one day or in 2. I don't know how this is going to go. It's that consistent that will matter the most, right? Now, try to, on the principle 3, the author, he talks about thinking one step ahead. And thinking one step ahead started the principle of using your time wisely. Stress is often not caused by demanding tasks that we have to do, but rather by too many little tasks that pull up and they're piling up. We have this pile, like I have this, a pile of tasks that you have to get done. Oh, wow, this is a big pile. And when I look to this, I'm stressed just by looking at it. Now, if I'm thinking one step ahead, right, as the book is suggesting here, um, it's literally trying to do that one little thing, and then literally, as I was going through the book, it's like, okay, I'm going to start with the five first papers I have in front of me. I have literally five here. I'm going to get five, get it done, and then this evening, I come home, I do another five, and then tomorrow, and so on and so forth. Um, when we do these things and trying to take everything done, it creates this perfect storm. And then why then we don't have the energy to connect with people that we care, with people that we love, after dealing with so many micro challenges? Like I am one, exactly. Oh my goodness, this is like preaching to the choir. And if we shift our perspective, we can create more peace by unloading the stressful parts of the day in advance. Principle number 4, embrace the circumstances. Even the most anticipated season of life can bring disappointments. That's the paradox. You can't always be content. You can't always be super happy. Let's say you had the dream to become a parent, and there was the dream. And yet, like I've been through that experience myself, and I remember that with the challenge of holding the house together, and I have a virtue. I like to say it's a virtue. Like I'm a workaholic. Like I work a lot, and especially when you're doing things that you are passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. So then I can just keep going and going and going and going. But then at times when my kids, Spencer and Charlie, come, oh, can you go, I don't know, play basketball on the driveway? Or can you go play Monopoly? Or can you just go run crazy? And I have something that I'm doing and I can't stop. That frustration, that disappointment of like, oh man, I wish I could spend more time with them. Or I wish I could do the things. But again, sometimes I fool myself, say, I'm going to do this so hard. And then once it's done, then I'm going to buy my time back. Again, we talked about this book, and I'm going to revisit this book soon. Is buying back our time, because we may suppress our frustrations by pretending that we are handling everything perfectly, or we then stay passive, waiting until things calm down and the dust settle. But that's not going to help us to deal with our discontentment. The best way to deal with it, like the best way to deal with these feelings, is to realize that they are valid. So allow yourself to be frustrated, but don't let the frustration take over and cause you to miss out on what the season has in store for you. What is the season in life you're in? Do you have, like I have young kids? That's my season with young kids. And I started doing some reading, being more intentional about this, to do things that will have an impact on my relationship with them and create this bond. Because it's okay sometimes to be tired of something you love. Like I get tired at times of doing readings. Like I went on a long trip a few months ago, and I decided that on that trip I was going to get three books done. And when I was like in the middle of the second book, my brain was like, okay, think about something else, change it to music, opera music, or just silent. Because even though I love reading books, I love listening to audiobooks. Like sometimes my brain get that fatigue. But to navigate through a challenging period, embrace the stage you're in life. Like embrace this moment. And remember, this won't last forever. So cherish those memories while you can. Now, how about then creating systems? Yes, create systems. And the principle number 5 talks about routines that can come to your rescue. If you're week they feel like you're beating and working so hard and you're being thrown in the water and performing hundreds of different tasks, and it's very intense but it's ineffective and you're on the motions. Guess what? The author suggests that there's a better way. Establishing a routine is your solution. Again, I think about my boys, and we have, like their mother and I, we try to keep like not a strict schedule, but we try to follow a routine that they can stick to it. And they are the age that they want to push the boundaries, but keeping the routine really help us. We know exactly what time to wake up, and exactly what time to prepare the lunches for school, and exactly what time they get the bus, and then they get home, what they do exactly when they come. And in the evening, what's the evening routine? What time they go to bed? And then through the season we are in, where changes are happening, now we are trying to navigate through these changes and making sure that their emotional well-being and their emotional challenges that they will also face are protected. Like we want to protect their emotional well-being. How we do this, well, we got to do it in a way that we keep the consistency, we keep the routine. So try to establish that routine as well. And you can use that routine as a flexible mechanism to calmly gain control over whatever causes you stress. For example, start with a Monday routine. What's my Monday routine? Every Monday morning at 7 a.m., I'm right here recording these videos. And actually, a friend, she said yesterday, oh, Sandro, you are too much out there. And she even made a comment, and I can even see you doing it. Oh, a friend of mine told me to stop being so much like, I'm going to read exactly what she said. Sandro, I can see you saying, you're doing a live and you say, my friend tells me to stop it and that I'm too out there. LOL. Yes, she is absolutely right. I'm very much out here on social media and connecting. But I'm going to tell you, you know, most of the things that I'm doing, all these live videos that I'm recording, I'm actually recording for myself. Very often, I record, I chat with you guys, I upload to YouTube, and then I come back, I change the speed for 1.5, and I listen again to what I'm saying, because a lot of times I'm preaching to myself. I am the one that is going through the challenges, and I'm the one that wants to go through the changes and keep investing in my personal growth, and I keep investing in my personal development. And that's why I'm also trying to create these routines. And I have this Monday routine that I started. Hopefully that's going to resonate with you guys, so we're going to keep moving and write down what are the most essential duties for the week. What are the most essential things that you want to accomplish this week? Choose one or two tasks that they will require a lot of your energy and they will be energy consuming, and leave 30 minutes for emails afterwards, or as you're writing these things. Okay, those are two things that I need to do this week. They are like energy consuming. Do them, get them out of the way, and then you focus on those small tasks. Now, the goal here is not the routine itself. The goal is that with that system that you're creating for yourself, will help you to get to your destination. So create a plan for whatever feels stressful and adjust in a way that works for you. Like one great example, household rules. I know some people that are very perfectionist about how they keep their houses. And I'm very blessed that my current house, Janet, she keeps the house extremely clean and very organized. But then as I'm going through the book, just using the house as an example, even though the house is the place for us to relax, a proper system is not to turn the family into a military force, but is to create something that will save space for connection. So, husbands and wives, if one of you guys are the perfectionist and the other one is not as perfectionist, I'm not going to say messy one, but leave things around. Focus on the connection other than be stressed and bothered by the dirty sink every time you enter the kitchen or you enter the bathroom. Just create a rule. Create a rule and try to stick to it. Like with my boys, the rule is they do not leave their bedroom without making their bed. And a lot of times they make the bed like not that great. Like they just, but somebody walks in the room, it's like, oh, at least they tried. But it's their rule that create that space, so then they know every morning they make the bed. Another really great example. I hate mosquitoes, right? And we have a big deck, and on kitchen living to the deck, usually people goes and they just leaving the door open. But I create a routine that if you're going out to the deck, you close the door behind you. Close the door. Close, guys, close the door. So much so that now they don't even think about it anymore. That system that they know to follow became so now a part of their routine, right? Uh, and I have my brother Shahid on the line. How are you doing, my brother? And like talking about these things. Um, Let me just do one quick change here, and we're gonna do and keep this conversation going. And I hope these conversations they help you as much as they're helping me. Okay, got back here now. Try to create a routine, try to create a rule, and create the rule based on your priorities. The point of this tool is to save the time we spend arguing about the mess and then use that to strengthen your family ties. And I hope this makes sense. Now, rule number 7, this was the rule number 6. Rule number 7, make a home for everything and everyone. The principle number 7 talks about giving things a purpose and place. So it's to eliminate chaos, reveal what you own, and define a place and meaning for everything. You don't have to limit yourself to a bare minimum. And I'm not here to propose that you become a minimalist, but I am here, and as the author he talks about, is not to limit ourselves. I'm going to be a minimalist right now and only have 3 pieces of shirts. And no, no, no. It's just to be more conscious about what you have. And as you're going through that, every year I hear people say, "Oh, spring is coming up, and we're gonna have like a spring clean up and things like that because you cluster and there are places that you go is clustered. Why don't try then to create a system that becomes consistent? So then when that time comes, it's more like doing like organizing rather than like, oh my goodness, that pile of work. Oh, but keep in mind, if this is something that you thrive and you absolutely love to do and that big cleaning, go forward. That's not me. I like clean places. I like clean spaces. But I'm not somebody that's like, oh my goodness, I want to be out there like cleaning like crazy because that calms me down. Nah, not really. I can do other things with my time, and I want to eliminate the chaos. Now, principle number 8: let people meet you where you are. How many of you feel stressed when your partner, your spouse, your roommate, whatever who you live with, if you live with someone, and they will invite people over and you get stressed because in your eyes your house is a mess? Like, how many of you go through that? Now, inviting people over may cause a lot of pressure if you are aiming for perfection. After going through all the preparation, the connection may not even be enjoyable anymore. I remember I was running a group meeting in my house every week at some point, and there was the time that my kids, they always looked for, because they were like, oh my goodness, Thursday evening is coming. Because for them was the moment that they had with their little friends with no supervision. Also was me, we would be the adults, let's say in the living room and chatting and just doing life, and the kids would be either on the family room or in the basement, and they were just like playing and going crazy. Especially Charlie, my little one, that he's very much like his papa, has like the personality, outgoing personality. But then when everybody would leave, and this was every week, I was just like afraid to go to the family room or to go down to the basement because of the chaos. So that was the stress. Like, Thursday's coming, people are coming, it'll be so nice, but the afterwards. And yes, it's true. It wasn't as enjoyable anymore. But guys, let's think about this. And I'm talking this to myself. Living a harmonious life, we still need community. In other words, we gotta change our view in when it comes to hospitality, and understand that we don't let people into our homes to perform our best, to show how clean and organized and smelling good it is. We open our doors hoping to build relationships, to to foster a connection, and that's the goal with the principle number 8, where you're letting people to meet you where you are. The goal here is not to have a perfect place, if you like, to be hospitable, but it's to make fostering a connection. So make fostering a connection should be the goal. Make those important connections with the community is the goal. Perfectionism holds you back from building valuable bonds. And then we come to the principle number 9. So divide and rule. Think about how large fast food systems operate. You get an identical taste at the same speed every time. So when you talk about fast food, like McDonald's, what comes to mind, even though I barely go to McDonald's, I don't even remember last time that I went there, or you name it, like McDonald's or Tim Hortons, like you know what I'm talking about, right? Now, what I find interesting is that it doesn't depend on the workers. By the way, McDonald's is this multi-billion dollar enterprise run by teenagers. How they do it? Well, of course, a portion depends on the workers. But the real secret is that they do things like batching, which means they focus in one part of the process until it's done. Then they move to the next. That's so true. They do all the buns, they do all the hamburgers, they do all the fries, and then go to the next. Or, oh my goodness, I'm just thinking here. Even Subway, when you go to Subway, and it's a perfect example, like to see it, they have like 3, 4 workers there, and then you go, okay, what do you want? I want the flatbread. And then they give you the flatbread. And then the next one, you have flatbread as well. So that first person, all they're doing is preparing the bread. And the next one, put the salad. And the next one, put the seasoning. Like, try to apply this. The system is not to make you into like a robot, but they save you time to be human. You can apply this principle by choosing a day to do meal prep, for example, or to do laundry ironing, or to any job that gets repeated. Remember that not everything needs deep thinking. You can do something, or you can do certain things like in robot mode, like driving, for example. We drive in a robot mode, for example, like I do. So often I'm driving to a place and I turn in the street that I go into the flower shop, for example. I got so used to going the same route every single day that another Sunday I was going to church, which is sort of the same way, but I would have to turn on the next street. I turned the first one, and I realized, like, oh my goodness, I'm at the flower shop, and I was actually going to church because it was on robot mode. And as you're doing this, again, as I said at the beginning, the goal of this principle is to help us to do things and leave space for us to be humans. Principle number 10, leave what matters. After all, an order requires consciousness. You must understand your why behind the systems and rules. Why are you creating the system? Why are you creating this rule? Otherwise, they're not going to last. Or you will apply them to the wrong things, and then you're going to end up tired again. For example, if you want to start working out, as I said at the beginning, why do you want to work out? Before you create the routine around it. If the things, oh wow, if the things you have to do, they're not essential, they're just noise. Filter your life through the lens of your values and skip what doesn't matter to you. That way, you will save your energy for a fulfilling life. And then we come to the principle number 11, like a peace over productivity. Being productive is satisfying, even when it comes to the things we don't always enjoy, like mopping the floor or doing laundry. However, the key to enjoying life is balancing efficiently, and you find that efficiency and you find tranquility. To balance, you need a framework whenever approaching an activity. So, for example, when you're cleaning, do you follow steps for cleaning? Or when you're writing, or when you're reading, or when you're doing laundry, do you have a system? Do you follow a framework? Remember, and like the author here, he suggests 3 steps. Number 1, remember what is important. It's not clean the house itself or doing the laundry itself, but it's the family comfort. Number two, remove the trigger. Consider the most triggering thing about the dirty house or the dirty dishes or the dirty laundry, and you remove that and do that first. And number three, rely on yourself. Do the amount of work that suits you. Don't follow somebody else's routine. Create your own. Number 12, rest is a part of your job. I was talking to a friend recently, and I asked, what is the one thing that is very challenging for you in this season of your life right now? And she said, well, drinking water. Sometimes I forget. And she's very busy, very occupied. And she forgets to drink water. That's like self care, right? But rest, self care, like mind care, this is part of the process. This is part of our job. Most people, they believe that rest occurs when there's nothing to do. But to live a fulfilling life, you must take care of yourself more seriously. Recharging requires determination, so you must prepare and set time aside. If you're like this friend of mine, she has a schedule for everything. I'm not that specific, and I'm challenging her to challenge me so I can start like really block time. But do that, even when it's time for rest. Why not set up a time? I don't know. Like I haven't been really watching TV lately. I even canceled my TV subscription, but there's some shows that I watch that are brainless, that I don't have to think about anything. Block a time. Okay, I'm gonna watch one weekend. Last night was the thing with my boys. Let's watch America Got Talent for an hour. Just there watching and laughing and then with the pause and the kids trying to mimic what they watch, just having that good time. Set the time aside for that. And don't leave your rest to chance. Plan for. For example, choose a day to rest and put effort into making it happen. If you are in a relationship, that might sound crazy, but if you are in a romantic relationship with someone, even finding time for intimacy, try to schedule and push for it. I remember a season in life where I came up with this. I mean, I didn't come up with the idea, but the suggestion. Let's plan and put on the schedule. And guess what? Most of the times it wouldn't happen, and then it doesn't happen, and you stop trying. But be intentional about it. Just that day, and that no. This is my Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday, whatever it is. Don't leave it for chance. And finally, the number 13, be a friend to yourself. Have you ever noticed how much mercy you have for others, but not for yourself? Have you ever noticed that sometimes you get so graceful with other individuals, but we don't have the grace to our own selves? So let's be kind to ourselves. Like, for example, if a friend of yours comes and say, "Oh, I feel like I'm a bad father or I'm a bad mom," be ready to remind him or her what great parent they are. But when you have similar thoughts, you're more likely to say to yourself, ah, put yourself together, Sandro. Try harder. Tomorrow you're going to do better. And that self-talk can be toxic. And that could easily be one of the reasons why you ended up tired. As you pursue future growth, remember to appreciate yourself today. This is an exercise that I'm doing often. When I'm going through a challenge and I feel down, it drags my energy down and I don't feel moving, then I get up and I look into the mirror and I say, okay, so there are two guys in the future and I'm accessing that future right now. And one guy is a very successful guy on his own terms. And the other one is the guy that didn't get anywhere. And those two guys are looking at me and they're saying, Sandro, I am here today and I'm very successful because the Sandro in the past, which is my today, didn't give up. And the other guy is like, yeah, I could have done this. but I gave up. And that's what I am at. It's like, no, no, no. I want to talk to the future Sandro that is successful. And again, success is a whole different conversation. I'm not talking about finance. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about fulfillment. I'm talking about finding the place where you are thriving at what you understand is your calling. So some things, they don't have to be like you got to find the life hack for everything. But if you find those things that you find pleasure, you want to eliminate the distraction, then you can spend as much time doing the things that you love. If you like baking, for example, you can spend as much time baking as you want. But if you don't enjoy it, just buy your bread. You can spend as much time cleaning your house. If you don't like cleaning your house, make sure that you work to the point that you can afford somebody to clean your house and cut grass, whatever that look like, whatever that feels like, to identify what is worth for you, what is worth for your energy. It doesn't require much thought. It's just determine what you love and name what saps your drive. That is the most fundamental and important thing of all the principles that we're talking here. Like, I was doing an exercise. It's like, okay, I want to have a cleaning lady. Why? I want to have somebody to do the grass or the garden or to design my garden. Why? Like I am always asking the why. Because I want to make this certain amount of money. I want to have this certain amount of passive income. Like why? Because I want to find as much as free time as possible to do the things that I really enjoy doing it. And finally, I want to just give you an exercise that was proposed by the author, and I want to challenge you as well. Try this. Write down what matters most to you and define what doesn't. Apply the principle of starting with no pressure on your goals for this year. So right now we are mid of the year, right here. So we have 6 months left to end the year. So from now to the end of the year, what are the things that you planned in the beginning of the year as a goal for this year? And apply this principle and start the things that have no pressure at all. Like I lost the weight now, it's maintaining. Yes, I'm ready to go biking. And guys, I'm gonna be very transparent with myself. I'm aiming to do 20 kilometers today, but it's raining. And I don't want to do 20 kilometers in the rain. But even if I do five, that's okay too. Because more important than doing the 20 is the consistency of getting on the bike and going out to do the exercise, right? Find out what duty makes you anxious and build a routine around it. And finally, decide on rules for your household, for your work, for your office that will not just help you, but also your family to eliminate the distractions, to eliminate these routines that are tiring, these lots of micro taskings that just rob our time to focus on the things that matter the most to you. I loved this book. So many nuggets and amazing teachings here. I already got my list going. I already got a few things organized and done to conquer my day. So I wish you an amazing week. I hope you go out there and conquer the day and make a change, make an impact. This is only you can do it. And finally, I'm going to say this to you, Sandro. You gotta stop worrying so much about what people are thinking, but do the things that matters. Do you, like do you, that you find joy, that you find fulfillment to do the things that you've been called for. And in this journey, I say this to everyone: as you're going through this journey, and you want to bring everybody with you to do the journey with you, sometimes it's just not possible. Unfortunately, some people be left on the road, but you gotta keep going. You gotta keep moving and inspiring. And why not try to find a lazy genius way of doing these things so you have time left to the things that you matter the most for you. I hope you have an amazing week. I hope this message empowers you. I see you guys next Monday.